Dragon Ball Super Chapter 83 has officially broken the Dragon Ball universe. Bardock wished that his sons ended up thriving, which therefore created a claim that all of Goku's successes and main character powers were a result of a wish that his father made many years ago. And after watching this video, you will also see how Raditz 2 fits perfectly into this equation, as he's had a very positive effect in Dragon Ball history. And just so you know, Herms98 confirmed in Chapter 84 spoilers that Bardock's wish definitely caused Goku to get lucky. So for those of you who were unsure of what the wish actually did, there you have it. Bardock making a wish for the hope of his sons now creates a question of determinism in the Dragon Ball universe. Goku is basically destined to save the universe and be the hero that he is because his dad wished for him to do so. This is a stark contrast to what we always believed, the belief that Goku was the underdog, a weak Saiyan that was sent to a weak planet to kill everyone, but by luck he ended up hitting his head, and everything changed. He then became super strong, made super strong friends, and had super strong kids to help him fight against major threats. But now, we will always say in our heads that it was a wish that made Goku so great, and that it was a wish that made Goku have so many favorable outcomes throughout the universe. So whenever we think of Goku and Raditz, we now have the torture of always thinking, oh, they survived Planet Vegeta's explosion because of a wish. Oh, Goku hit his head because of a wish and wasn't evil anymore. Oh, Goku became the legendary Super Saiyan because of a wish. Oh, Goku's sons have so much potential because of a wish. Oh, Goku somehow befriended his greatest rival because of a wish. Oh, Goku also met a super genius that would somehow change his life because of a wish. Oh, Goku also died in the future timeline, which ended up benefiting our characters in an alternate timeline because of a wish. It's as if Toronbo the dragon favors Goku's entire life with foreknowledge of what will happen to him. He is basically the god of the Dragon Ball universe now, taking the spot of Toriyama and Toyotaro at work, finding loopholes for Goku and his friends to always get out of horrible situations. But prepare yourselves, because what we are about to explain will change your view of the Dragon Ball universe forever. Years ago, Jaxblade posted a comment on the alternate timeline theory asking to do a topic on what if Raditz never came to Earth. At the time, Dragon Ball Super didn't exist, but after making it, one thing became crystal clear. Raditz coming to Earth was the greatest event in Dragon Ball history. So great that we can make a separate video talking about that more in depth on its own, but basically, Raditz coming to Earth triggered Goku and his friends to get significantly stronger in a short amount of time. And Raditz also got Goku in contact with the Saiyans. Most importantly, Vegeta, who is now one of Earth's biggest allies. Now, does this not sound like determinism? Raditz was determined to come to Earth to cause all of these random things to go in place for Goku to get strong enough to save the universe? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. All of the negative things that ever happened in Goku's life were to make him strong enough to fight against these negative things and to make him strong enough to fight against future negative things. For example, Goku taking longer to recover from his injuries compared to Gohan and Krillin was in fact a good thing. If he recovered earlier, he wouldn't have been able to train and push himself to the limit on the way to Namek and would have been much weaker. This means he couldn't fight the Ginyu Force if he went to Namek with Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma. And this doesn't even include the thought of fighting against Frieza, which required another Zenkai boost on top of needing Super Saiyan just to win. Therefore, there really is nothing negative in the Dragon Ball universe because it's all there to make Goku strong enough to save everybody else in the future. And the best example to discuss this would be to talk about death. If you've seen a lot of what ifs on this channel, you would know that Goku dying in the Saiyan saga was one of the best things that ever happened. If Goku never died, he would have never gotten strong enough to fight the Saiyans, let alone anyone else. The only way Goku would be able to do this would be if Goku died and trained in the afterlife with a deity that could bring out even more of his power. Even if you look at a totally negative outcome like Trunks' future, you can say that Goku dying of a heart virus is a good thing. because it ended up making Goku and all of his allies stronger in the present timeline. It was a benefit for Goku to die, because Gohan would have never have learned Super Saiyan 2, which was necessary in killing Cell in the present timeline, and Trunks wouldn't have been strong enough to kill the androids and Cell in the future timeline. And speaking of Goku specifically, if he didn't die against Cell in the present timeline, it would have been very difficult, if not impossible, for him to have learned Super Saiyan 3, since training in the afterlife allowed him to push his body a lot further. Now, we're going to look at our Dragon Ball characters as essentially being blessed in the universe by Toronbo. And even though our characters were already blessed by the writing of Dragon Ball itself that favors our characters, seeing that there's an in-universe solution as to why our characters are successful completely takes us out of the story itself. But let's now move on to the other problems. Bardock's tail being removed by gas has caused a bit of a stir, and for good reason. Dragon Ball has never given an in-universe reason that fully explains how Saiyan tails actually work. So from the past, it was a common belief that only Saiyan children can regrow their tails. Goku had his tail permanently removed by Kami, so it made sense why his tail never grew back, and Vegeta never regrew his tail as an adult, and Gohan never regrew his tail past the Saiyan arc, so we believe that maybe it was an age thing that caused Saiyans to not grow their tails. But the problem was Gohan, because Gohan was still a kid in the later arcs, so we would have to create headcanon to try and explain why Gohan's tail never grew back. And of course, this doesn't include movie sequences that fit in between major arcs, so when we see Gohan with a tail in the movies, this doesn't count at all. And all of this puts into question why Bardock was later shown with a tail right before Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta if it got ripped off by gas. However, the answer to these unanswered questions comes from Toriyama's direct responses in interviews, and credit goes to Kanzenshuu for providing all of this. So for starters, for those of you who wonder about Goten and Trunks, the reason why they don't have tails is because it's a recessive trait. Now, one thing that we have to also understand about Saiyan tails is that Toriyama openly admitted that he was very annoyed having Saiyan tails in the Dragon Ball series, so there was a real-life reason why he often removed it. To be specific, Toriyama had an issue as to how Goku was able to put on his clothes with a hole for his tail to go through. But the most important thing Toriyama answered about Saiyan tails was, why didn't Vegeta's tail grow back after the battle on Earth? And Toriyama stated that Saiyans find it as an unnecessary appendage, which implies that after the battle on Earth, Vegeta had it permanently removed, even though it could theoretically grow back. On a side note, this does create problems with Dragon Ball GT, because if Vegeta's tail was permanently removed, then Bulma's machine should have no possible way of helping Vegeta regrow his tail. So ultimately, the biggest questions about Saiyan tails really revolves around Bardock and Gohan. For Gohan, the best guess as to why he never regrew his tail back again, even though he was still a kid, would be that after he fought against the Saiyans, it was somehow permanently removed in the hospital when he was staying there with Krillin and Goku. It was never explained or said, but that's a headcanon way that we can create an excuse to write it off, because after the battle against the Saiyans, Gohan never grew his tail back again. So this now allows us to debunk the whole age theory on Saiyan tails regrowing, because Goku regrew his tail back numerous times at a much older age than Gohan. Now, where does this leave Bardock? Well, like Vegeta, he is an adult that got his tail removed, but unlike Vegeta, we have to assume that he chose to not have it removed. And the reason being is that he wouldn't have found it as an unnecessary appendage the way Vegeta did during the Saiyan arc, because back in the day, Saiyans thought that that transformation was optimal and it would allow them to bring out their best abilities, so they had no reason to remove it back then, as it was the source of their strength. So the problem here is Dragon Ball's lack of an in-universe explanation for all of this, because you shouldn't have to dig through a bunch of Kanzenshuu interviews to see what Toriyama said to piece together these questions. And this segues us perfectly into the third problem, and that is Bardock having direct knowledge of Frieza's plans to destroy Planet Vegeta. Now, this has been explained 3 different times. In the original TV special, Bardock the Father of Goku, Bardock had visions of his son encountering Frieza and visions of Planet Vegeta exploding. And this was because he was given the ability to look into the future. In Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Minus, Bardock just had a hunch that something was wrong with Frieza. He just found it odd that Frieza was calling for all Saiyans to go to planet Vegeta at once, but, to be safe, he and Gine sent Goku away to a safe planet with lots of food called Earth. Now the third time that Bardock was warned about the Frieza threat was in Chapter 83, where he was directly told by Elec that he shouldn't be shocked if his planet magically gets destroyed by a meteor in the future. Now this would definitely explain why Bardock always had a hunch about Frieza in the first place in Dragon Ball Minus and Dragon Ball Super Broly, but don't you think he would do more about it? The problem with all of this is that Bardock in the TV special found out about it very late when Frieza was already going to wipe everyone out. So with such little time, and Bardock being injured and saying all these crazy things, the TV special did a great job in explaining why the Saiyans wouldn't have believed Bardock's story. But this is very different when Bardock has an entire month to warn an entire race of people. Because even if Elec didn't directly say Frieza's gonna destroy your planet, it's pretty clear what he was saying if you read between the lines and have any form of common sense. Even if this plan ultimately failed because Frieza was way stronger than all of the Saiyans at the time, on top of also having transformations that would have made it basically impossible for any of the Saiyans to have defeated him. But one video that predicted the future was the problem with Goku remembering Bardock and Gine that discusses issues that we talked about today. In addition, you'd also like an epic rant on Dragon Ball Super's full-color manga, or what if Goku never married Chi-Chi to see how important Gohan is to the story. And until next time, stay cool and stay safe, my friends.